everybody. Glad you could join us this week for our presentation. Tonight we got Paul Aurich who will be speaking, and I am sure you're going to enjoy that with that interview. But as we usually talk about things, first thing as far as equipment, anybody tuning in tonight, if this is your first time, you'll be entered in as with a ballot. So every time you watch to the end of one of our programs, live programs, you get a ballot put in, and then we do a random number generator at the end of the month, and somebody gets a chance to win the Palm Ultimate through the draw that we do. So this is the $1,300 device. We have the next one up, which is the 660 1050 nanometer wavelength, and that's the Super Palm. But this is the one we're giving away, the Ultimate, which is 660 810. It's a very good device as well. That happens to be the red 660. And then this is the near infrared, which you can kind of see the purplish dots. When it comes to the Super Palm, it's totally invisible to my eyes. So if I look at it, I'll just switch it on here right now. It has the red wavelength and it has the near infrared. But the near infrared here, you see the purplish dots, but I can look at it. I can't see it at all. So the 1050 has the potential to go a little bit deeper. So that's the two units, but we also have Palm Professional as well, which is the starting of the group of the series of the Palm Lights. So when it comes to this, it's a $1,300 device for the Ultimate, and somebody will be winning that for the end of June then. So been on my travels. I don't know if you saw a week back, or 2 weeks back, I was on a flight, great flight that took place to Rhode Island. And we had an event over there. Also, because it just worked out, it was a Tuesday night. So I was able to do the first part of the interview, and Dr. Hammond Boone was able to do the second half for me. But you might notice that I was actually able to walk into the plane with my laptop in my hand and just watch into the webinar, and then I had to go because the flight took off. So anyways, we're going to start off with a short movie clip here, and then get right into it.
15 years back, I realized that light could make a huge difference on the body. I ended up designing this very powerful light using LED technology. With this amount of very high power density, it can reach through the tissues and travel right to the joints. But the key is that the power density and the area is extremely important to deliver that light into that. The mitochondria receives that light and converts that energy into the cell. So it's like giving the cells super high octane fuel, and they run like a jet, and they're able to do all the things for repair in that. What are the products we have? Well, we have a small device, which is actually large when it comes to light therapy. You have a fairly large area of light and a high power density that can be used for different parts of the body, like your finger, shoulder, back, neck, knees, ankle, anywhere on the body. And then we have what's called the mini canopy, which is about a foot square in size. And then we have our full-size canopy, which is basically 6 of the mini canopies. And then we have another device, which is the helmet, and that device can help for mental issues, for brain injuries, for concussions, for PTSD, TBI, all of those kinds of things. And there's new research out there that shows it could be helpful for not only strokes, but dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's, and just different brain issues. Our plans are to move this technology into every area of the world where there's pain and inflammation, which is basically everywhere, and to expand that so people understand all the applications where this technology can be used to help them in their health in the body as a wellness device. People are looking for how they can treat themselves without drugs.
All right, so we're going to have Paul on in just a moment here. We did a recording. It didn't work out that we could have him on live. So we did a recording, and we did that this afternoon. But what he ended up doing is he ended up using our helmet, this device here. Now, this is coming in actually from the side, and it just comes down like this. And he was using the red wavelength. Usually our treatment is 1 minute of the red and 3 minutes of the near infrared, which again does not really show in the cameras. A little bit of a purplish dots there that you might see. But that's our helmet, and we've had all sorts of beautiful results with the helmet. So with that being said, I'm going to have Paul on now with our interview from earlier today. So, hey, Paul, how you doing?
Quite well.
That's good. That's good. So, first of all, how do we get to know each other?
Well, we attended the same church for several years.
Yeah.
I think it was almost. I think we came in 2016, and we got to know your
Yeah.
family. And I think you guys took us out for Swiss Chalet one Sunday. You were brave enough to take us with our four rambunctious children.
Forgotten about that, but we do that. We do that from time to time. That's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. So, and your wife is a nurse,
Yes, she is.
and she works at one of the hospitals. If I was, or is she still there? Or?
Yeah, she's still at West Lincoln. She's working in the emergency department.
Okay. All right. And for yourself, what are you up to?
I'm doing some editing with a Christian think tank in the area.
Okay.
And so I've been doing that for several years. And the organization is a bit of a transition right now. So I'm doing other jobs like moving books and putting furniture together.
Okay. All right. So, how'd you get into this with the light? What happened there?
Well, we had a conversation back in December at a worship event, and I was interested in the technology for its properties and
Yeah.
memory and that, and so I think we were talking a bit. After the conversation, I'm gonna try this out. And so I called the office up and set up an appointment. And
Right.
sure enough, I was able to get a slot, and I was quite amazed. After I had my first treatment, I thought afterwards, I'm going to bring my mom in because she's kind of complained about some memory issues, and so
Okay.
she's really benefited from this
We're-
innovation as well.
And what we're talking about here is you use the helmet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And did you use any of the bigger units for body paint or anything like that? No,
No,
just the helmet.
not to start off, yes.
Yeah. And so what kinds of things did you were you dealing with that or what got you interested to try the helmet?
Well, now I have 6 children, so there's much for me to think about on a daily basis.
Right.
And I just found there were days where I just be scattered
Okay.
and lots of, I would want to do something, but then I didn't feel I had the capacity to get the jobs that I wanted to done.
Right. Right.
Um, Meanwhile, my mom was struggling with some memory issues, and so
Okay.
that was a bit of a burden to me. And so I thought, well, this could be a solution to being somewhat scattered.
Right.
I found uh, instructions, written down instructions, somewhat hard to grasp at times.
Okay. What would that look like when you say instructions? Like
So, for example, I would have an editing task to do, and I would send in different passes. So a pass is basically uh, a uh, a chapter that just requires some editing and
of a book
a
or
book or something, yeah.
yeah.
And so then I get uh, the the manuscript back, and with all kinds of verbal instructions, and it was hard for me to
Okay.
understand them. Would have to read them over and over and over again, and there were times where I just didn't get it.
Okay.
I would have uh, uh, better. I would have. Um, I would have. I would have benefited from visual cues at the
Right.
time,
Right.
uh, but written cues were always challenging to me.
Okay.
But since I've been taking the like technology, that task has become quite easier for me.
So you've been using the helmet coming down once a week
Twice a
or
week.
twice a week and doing like a 1 minute red and 3 minute near infrared treatment.
That's correct.
And what was your first things that you noticed when you started using it? Like how soon was that? After a couple of weeks or what was?
Yeah, well, around the time that I started, I was doing a pretty intense job where I was moving books from an older library and into a storage room, which was down a set of stairs at the beginning of January. So it's cold weather.
Right.
It was an intense job because there's a lot of books to move, and I had a deadline. And the first few days that I was working on it before I ended up uh, using the helmet, I was exhausted.
Right.
But afterwards, I started to notice that I had more stamina. I
Okay.
had a stamina that I didn't have before.
Okay.
Now, the boxes weren't lighter.
Yeah.
And boxes still broke, and it was still very frustrating. But there was a strange stamina that I'm like, okay, I have not experienced
Yeah.
this before.
Did you notice any changes in sleep?
Yes, absolutely. I noticed that I sleep was actually the first thing I noticed even before stamina. I had a very good night's sleep.
Yeah,
Very good night's sleep after using.
that's the amazing thing. How many people we've had with that say that it's their sleep, like after they used it, it's like they couldn't believe how good their sleep was, even after the first session.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to get the treatments because I get the reward of having a good night's sleep
Yeah.
after.
I even had one neurosurgeon who put the helmet on one day, and I talked to him the next day, and he says, I don't know if it's a placebo effect, but I slept better than I've slept in years. I
Yeah,
slept so solid.
yeah,
And he says, like, it must, I don't know, placebo effect. I says, no. This happens over and over and over again.
yeah,
And you're another good example of how it can affect the sleep. And then sleep is so important to us. I just was at a brain health summit, and it was on how they can help people with all kinds of brain challenges.
yeah.
And one of the speakers talked all about sleep and the tremendous effect that sleep has on helping the brain to heal.
Hmm.
And these are people with severe car concussions and car accidents
Hmm.
and you name it, that have had problems with sleep and all, that's one area that, and they found that as a person sleeps and it's type of sleep, and there's a lot of details to it, but
Right.
it's kind of neat. The University of Ottawa is looking at working with us on, because they have a whole sleep study program,
Hmm.
and they want to see what they can do with our tech. So that's going to be kind of fun. That
That's
came out
exciting.
of that event. So although you're hearing it from Paul and you're hearing it from other people that have been in my webinars, we're hoping that we will have research data to back that up.
Yeah.
And we know that there was a whole police department that was affected by sleep pattern, and they were wearing the hook band to measure their sleep patterns, and their sleep patterns improved dramatically right after even the first treatment.
Hmm.
So it's possible to change a lot, help a lot of people with stress. It may be stress related, it may be some kind of accident, something from the past, concussions. Any number of things can cause sleep not to work right. And circadian rhythm is a big part of it as well. And if the helmet can help work reset that. So what else? So tell me a little more about yourself then. So you started coming weekly since about when?
First week of January.
Okay. All right. And what other things have you noticed that have been able to be helped with?
Well, I started as I mentioned before, the organization that I'm working with is in a
Right.
bit of a transition, and
Yeah.
so one of the requirements was that I be building furniture.
Okay.
And at first, I was asked, "Can you build a shelf?" And I'm thinking to myself, "You're talking to the wrong person. I'm not really good at that kind of stuff." But then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try
Right.
because
But and that involves following a set of instructions, right?
exactly,
And
exactly.
interpreting what is it saying and where is that piece and all
Hmm.
that.
And initially, I got the instructions wrong.
Okay.
I ended up putting one piece upside down, so the shelf had a non-finished part at the bottom, and it should have been fixed around. I'm like, oh shoot, I don't know, I don't know why that happened. Why didn't I see that? And so I'm like, well, I got to fix it, right? And so I calmly problem solved my way through it.
Okay.
Was a little nervous. Like, oh no, I'm gonna have to buy a new shelf. But I was amazed at how I could just say, okay, here's where I made the error. Here's how I'm going to fix it. And I ended up fixing the shelf
And
with
it's fine.
very little consequence.
And nobody knows.
And nobody, well, I know. But what was interesting is then I was asked to build two or three more shelves identical to it, that shelf. And um, I was able to get those done with no problem. Now, one of the things I started to realize in my thinking, well, how do I get this done? And so, you know, when you start a job, you always have to have the right tools available.
Right.
And so it came to my mind right away. Well, I'm going to avoid a lot of frustration, but everything organized beforehand.
Hmm.
So the hammer I need, the screws I need,
Yeah.
I organized all the different dowels and screws
Right.
in their proper
Okay.
order. And then I was able to, once I had that structure in place, then I was able to execute that job quite efficiently.
Okay.
8 months ago, that I wouldn't have been able to do that.
That's yeah. It's funny how the brain works. You have had a struggle with that, and now the light has helped you. Now, I can't say for myself I've had an improvement because, but I know since a very young age I can't do facial recognition,
Right.
and there's a part in the brain
Yeah.
that deals with facial recognition. And at this event that I was at, it's the first time that a speaker got up and she was speaking about all kinds of challenges that people can have with their brain and how there are reworking solutions for some of it.
Hmm.
And it's a case of diligence and working through certain things. Obviously, the light has helped you. In my case, I didn't see that. I haven't noticed any particular change, but it was kind of funny. They had a slide up, and they said, oh, before the slide came up, they said, close your eyes and think about a cat. And I said, okay, and open your eyes and what does the cat in your image look like?
Hmm.
And is it the left-hand picture, the middle, or the right? And either the middle or the right means you're challenged.
Hmm.
Okay. The left-hand picture is a picture of a cat with fur on it.
Hmm.
And the picture I had of the cat was an outline of the cat, which was exactly what they had on that thing. I can remember an outline,
Hmm.
but I don't have the details that fit inside that outline.
Hmm.
So I've been challenged all my life with that. But it was really interesting that the brain, she was talking about how it's possible to help rewire the brain, not only with activities, but also with other things. And I went to see her later on, and they're thrilled as well that I could tell them about some of the other things we've seen where we've been able to help people with all kinds of things, strokes, concussions,
Parkinson's, things that go on in the brain,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to brain injury, and or even it's possible in the back of the brain it controls the eyesight,
Hmm.
and somebody had a significant improvement in their eyesight in
Really?
4 minutes. So right after the 4 minute session, there's like, I can see you clearly
Hmm.
after not being able to do that. Part of the reason they couldn't do it is because their glasses were in the pocket,
Hmm.
and
A
they
common
had,
mistake.
well, yeah, but another problem of the glasses was they broke both handles off,
Oh
so
dear.
they couldn't use the glasses. So the whole day was blurry in one treatment.
Hmm.
So that was kind of neat. So tell me a little more. So you were able to, you find you could tackle issues and kind of structure the solutions
Right. Yeah.
and execute.
Yeah. So yeah, a real improvement in problem solving abilities. Now, again, I still struggle here and there. I mean,
Yeah,
this isn't a fix all.
yeah,
This is another tool in a toolbox, but it really did. I noticed I can solve problems now
yeah.
in a far more confident manner than I would have 8 months ago. But also, I noticed a difference in my ability of writing. Or my ability to write. Um, I've always loved writing and I've always enjoyed communication,
Right.
but um, I find when I write something, I'm writing so many different points that
Yeah.
you lose focus and you lose track of what's the main purpose here.
Right.
You know, go back and I would have gone back and read something that I wrote, and it was just all over the place. There, you know, very sincerely written,
Yeah.
but not something I would be confident to
Yeah.
publish.
Right. Right.
Um, I started writing a few blogs in April on the Book
Okay.
of Acts
Okay.
because I'm quite interested in evangelism and how
Yeah.
do we as Christians witness, and so I'm going through the first chapter of Acts, and so I ended up just making points on different verses.
And they were more collective. They were more
Yeah,
focused.
they're more focused, and I ended up publishing them quite confidently.
Oh, good.
And
Good.
so I published three blogs on Substack.
Okay.
And so I'm quite happy with that. And I was able to figure out some editing tools
Yeah.
that kind of helps me through
Hmm.
and makes polishing the document out. But again, um, I realized that in writing, I struggled with more of a numeracy problem where you're writing so many points
Right.
that you almost lose track of what you want to say and what
Mm.
your purpose is. And uh, it's important to have a focus
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah, you don't want the reader to be all over the
No,
place. You want
no,
them to understand your key core information message.
yeah,
And yeah. So tell me, your mother was also coming.
yeah.
So what about your mother? What's so memory was one thing, and right?
Yeah, memory was one thing, and she actually gave me an email that she
Do you
wanted.
want to read it?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Thank you, Tom, for the opportunity to benefit from your red light treatment. At this point in my life, memory starts to become a problem. Forgetting names, losing keys, etc. Lots of frustration. In the time that I've been coming for treatment, I seem to be able to stay more focused on what I am doing. Names seem more readily remembered. Periods of confusion are less frequent. Previously, it was very easy to become muddled while doing my household bookkeeping. It has become much easier to complete this task without frustration. Also, in the past, in the course of reading a novel, when returning to the spot where I had left off, I would often have to back up further, having no memory of my most recently read sections. This happens much less frequently at this point. My mother suffered from Alzheimer's in her later years, perhaps because of medication for a heart problem. Experiencing the same level of disconnect when I reached her age has long been a fear. At this point, I have outlived her and still maintain my independence, attending weekly fitness classes at the Y and being a member of a handbell choir at a church in Grimsby. Both activities require presence of mind.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts you have about anything to do with the treatment or your thoughts of this technology?
Yeah, I would say that the technology has a long-term advantage in the sense that it's the more I use it, the more benefit I see from it.
So it's cumulative.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, Paul, I so much appreciate you coming on
My pleasure.
tonight, and it'll be aired tonight.
Hmm.
And I'm so glad we were able to see this come together. And thank your mom for me for sharing
Hmm.
her testimony,
Absolutely.
and also for you what you shared as well. And this is going to bring a lot of hope to a lot of people. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, all the best.
Thank you.
Well, all right. I think I'll stop my treatment there. I just enjoyed it, a little pit stop, getting a little extra light in. One thing I mentioned is that problem that I've had where facial recognition is not there for me. But I failed to mention that during the early days of COVID, I my blood oxygen was like at 80%, and I had just finished measuring it. My son took me to the hospital, and it was the best thing that could happen. They discharged me later that night to tell me that my I had very bad double lung pneumonia. Now, why they discharged me, I think I have an idea, but regardless of that, I went back home and I ended up using the light on my lungs, and it tremendously helped my lungs. Where in 2.5 weeks, I went from very bad double lung pneumonia to going back to emerge after coughing all day long. I thought I'm getting worse, so I went back into emerge and they did another. I asked for another set of X-rays, and they checked it out. And the doctor that evening said to me, your blood's good, your heart's good, but your lungs are exceptional." The X-ray comparison to where my lungs were 2.5 weeks earlier was dramatic. Now, I had treated my lungs, but I had not treated my brain. And one of the things that was difficult was to actually say sentences. I'd get partway through the sentence and I couldn't finish it. Very scattered thinking. I could not, somewhat like what Paul was talking about, not being able to put things together. I read a note that I still had extreme shakiness and on just a whole bunch of things. And I had talked to one of the medical doctors, and I told him about how much my lungs had improved. I had also gone up to the low 90s. I was down 92, 93 in 2.5 weeks. And he says, obviously you've done extremely well with treating your lungs. And he said to me, "So how are you treating your brain with the light?" I says, "I'm not." He says, "I can tell." So he said, "You need to be treating your brain because your brain is not firing correctly." And really, that's where I use the mini canopy that I was using on my lungs. I started using it on my head. And when I improved pretty dramatically in a short time, I decided that I really needed to make a new type of a device that would go over the entire skull. And so I had these devices then. I knew that, a person can use this in 10 different locations, on the skull. But I like to do things quickly too. So I thought, hey, what if I put 10 of these units if it'll fit? And so I ended up getting the designer plastic designer that I was working with to try and work in all of the modules. And that's how we ended up with the placement of these 10 modules. Now, this is the front right here. And as it turns out, we ended up, and I don't think it's by accident. I believe that uh, God gives us the ability to end up designing things in the right way, even if we don't know what we're doing. I ended up placing these modules in exactly the right locations. Not me, but as we tried to design this through for treating the brain. So that worked out. And I didn't design it that, like I didn't have that in my mind as to where best placement. But as it works out now, because the light is in the 10 locations, it's not the light, just those locations that are getting treated. As the light is penetrating the skull, it's actually diffusing. So it becomes there might be slightly higher dosimetry in certain spots just directly under the thing, just a bit below the skull. But by the time it goes through the skull and a bit further, it's one whole blanket of light over your whole brain. And that's why we can get treatments with the helmet in on 4 minutes. And that's what Paul was doing, 1 minute of the red and 3 minutes of the near infrared. It's only when we get into working with migraines that we find that we really need like about 8 minutes of time. So I've got a couple comments here. We got Deborah writes, "There's no failure until you quit trying." Great job, Paul. Yeah, and Sue Ellen is talking about the neuroplasticity. At one time, they thought that if you damaged a certain part of the brain, there was nothing more that you could do for that. But as it turns out, the brain has the ability to find other ways to repair and route signals around and start working better. So that, they said that there was no hope for autistic kids who are of a certain age, past their teenage years, and that's not true either. We've been able to help the one that's 27 years old, and he's been able to improve with the light. So with the helmet. So it doesn't mean that you're limited to, okay, that's it. That's the rest of your life. I'm hoping for myself too. Sometime I can regain that ability, but I'll have to learn how a person goes about to try and train their brain to start waking up on those things. A question comes in here from Grant, and Grant, I sent you some information about the helmet comparison. There are different helmets out there that do have some effect. We just have the most powerful helmet on the planet, so that allows us to be able to do much quicker treatments. And as well, we're finding very good and even quicker responses with our helmet. David is asking, I don't recall seeing any info on carpal tunnel syndrome. Any experience with that? Yes, I've been able to see people that have had carpal tunnel. They end up with a lot of pain through their wrist and hand, and when they're moving, and it's in through this area here that there's inflammation. And the standard thing is to try and cut the wrist in this area and expand and clean to try and allow a larger space for the nerves. That can be successful, but it's hit and miss. I've taken people that have the braces and everything. One particular person, she had the brain for over a year, and she started using the light, and within a month's time, she wasn't wearing the brace anymore, and she didn't have to return to using the brace again. So, and she was totally free from that. Joe is asking anything for bronchitis. Um, and as it turns out, yeah, bronchitis, the treatment of the light on the chest, you can do it from the front and the back, and you will be able to improve the lung capacity or lung tissues and that. Early on, we did, as we were going to launch a study, we had. We had three hospitals lined up during COVID to do the study. And unfortunately, even though we had government approval and everything ready to go, our studies were shut down by the hospitals. But before that, and it's a good thing I embarked on trying to get this trial because that same mini canopy, that foot square, ended up being used for my own lungs. So I say, basically, I'm here talking to you probably because I got kicked out of the hospital and I was able to use this to improve my lungs as opposed to being on remdesivir, which had a really bad outcomes for people. And I would have been next. So God spared me and wanted me to keep me around for a little longer. I guess. So yeah, let's see what else Sue Ellen is saying we are seeing improvement. Oops, just one second. We are seeing improvement with the palm over Sabrina about 2 times a week. Okay, excellent, excellent. Anytime and 2 to 3 times a week is for different brain issues are very beneficial. It's something that we have been able to see helped even with 2 times a week with only 3 minutes. That was the study that was done with opiate addiction and depression was twice a week for 3 minutes. And the reason why it was 3 minutes, we usually have 4 minutes, 1 minute of the red and 3 minutes of the near infrared. And the challenge was that the IRB that was reviewing it said there's no research on using red for the brain. So it was going to be either a long-standing battle to try and prove it or just use the near infrared. So in that study in particular, we used just the near infrared. There was a comment about the little rubber booty that is on our device. If that has come off, it's not imperative. It's more of cosmetic why we put that on there. So if that's come off on your particular device, sorry to hear that. But it's not going to affect the use of the equipment. Lucy is asking, what about I can never pronounce that one. I think they come up with some of these names to figure out how hard they can make it so only certain people can pronounce it. But Dupuytren's contracture is where you get fingers coming in and you can't pull the finger out. It's bound in here. And yes, it is something that can take like a couple months to treat, but I do know a chiropractor who was able to do it and see the effect. Now, the funny part about the chiropractor that used it, I told him that specifically that he should use both red and near infrared. And I believe I probably told him about 2 minutes of the red wavelength on that palm area right through here, and 3 minutes of the near infrared. This 3 to 4 minutes of the near infrared, and the near infrared does not look impressive, as I said. So he said he went for about a month, 2 months, something like that, with just the bright red. And he said, because it's more powerful. Well, no, it's not more powerful. It turns out that the red and the near infrared are pretty much the same amount of optical power. But the near infrared, whether it's the 810 or the 1050, penetrates deeper, much deeper. And so if I shone that on my hand here, and you actually can see the light going through my hand right now. But when it comes to the near infrared, so you can see it come right through. If we could see it with the camera, it'd be 10 to 30 times more coming through the hand with the near infrared wavelengths of 810 or 1050. But he had only treated that with the red because he thought it was more powerful. And then I had talked to him and just happened to talk to him about this situation. He says the one hand had improved and the other hand was still lagging, but both of them had improvement. But he kind of leveled off on the improvement. It kind of just leveled off, and he was wondering about that. And I says, well, why don't you listen to me about the using the near infrared. But that's less powerful. No, it's not less powerful. It penetrates deeper. And he was able, about a month later, he reported back to me that that patient had significantly improved the hand. So it's a case of both wavelengths are very, very helpful. So just don't rely just on one or the other. So I'm just looking at some comments here. Joe using the panel for the lungs. That is beautiful. I don't have the panel here right now, but the panel is like just got a box. The panel is kind of like this, so you can a little longer than that, and you can treat both sides at the same time. And I would suggest front and back when you're doing that. So yes, Joe. So Sue Ellen says, oh, there we go. We have a panel. It just kind of miraculously appeared from the sky here. This is the mini canopy. And as I said, look how that can cover really nicely both lungs, front and back. And that's what I used during the thank you. That's what I used during the my episode with the COVID, the double lung pneumonia. So Sue Ellen's saying it seems to work well in general with musculoskeletal from personal experience as a PT slash clinician. Um, Mild ankle sprain. I've seen it with severe ankle sprain, upper neck sprain, and lumbar spine pain. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're all Sue Allen. That's great to hear about helping the girl with 6 years old with autism. I'd love to hear further as people are watching this event here tonight. If you are treating somebody with autism, please call us and or email us and let us know about how this works for in their particular case. We have seen much better sleep, as we mentioned in the video or in the video that the recording. People do see tremendous okay, a tremendous help. Yvonne is saying, I'm treating my finger with that issue and have less pain, and I extend my finger fully. I'm using the super palm. That is again, Yvonne, that you're using the super palm with the 1050 nanometer wavelength and getting those results. I do know that we also had the chiropractor, because it was a while ago. He didn't have the 1050. He had the ultimate, and he was able to help that patient with that. So thank you, Sue Allen, for your kind response. She says, we're very grateful with the results so far. Is there a sweet spot? I take it for the sweet spot referring to length of time. I will, there's some, I'll bring this out. We have not seen, when you're talking musculoskeletal issues below the neckline or anywhere on the body, as far as longer periods of time, does not have a curve that goes up and then you treat too long and you lose all that. That has been thrown out there for about 30 years that this curve exists. The problem with that curve is it was all based on a slide. So guess how thick the slide is? The slide tissue is about that thick. And then later on, they said that, oh no, this curve applies when you're talking a knee. The problem was that the knee in the study, or the knees in the study, was not human knees. It was a rat's knee, about that big a diameter. Now, when you go this big a diameter and you're treating with the light, so if I could do this, let's say this is your knee. I'll do it from the side there. Okay, let's say this is your knee, and that's the diameter of your knee, and you come in on this side like this, and you're treating the side of your knee. Guess what? Yes, there's some light energy coming through, but in order to reach that magical level that they say at the peak of the curve at 4 joules per square centimeter in the center, you would have to have 400 joules on the surface here, which means even with a powerful light like I have, you'd need to be there for like an hour treatment time. So it really, we are not operating on a point of too high, even for shallow stuff. Now, am I going to suggest if you have a skin burn that you're going to use it on that burn for 20 minutes? No, you don't need much time then. A minute or two if you're talking the upper layers of the skin. But by the time you penetrate through that much tissue, you lose so much light energy that the light energy on the inside is much, much lower. So you're really not getting into that as a problem. Prosper is asking, my son is autistic, but I can't afford the helmet device. Can I use the Super Palm on the different parts of the skull? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, one of the young boys was 4 years old. He was nonverbal and also very dysregulated. So, I mean, you couldn't stop him from moving. So, trying to hold a light on him when you're just not going to be able to treat him. So the parents ended up using the palm light while he was sleeping. And so while he was sleeping, they ended up treating his brain like that and spending 10, 15 minutes around the brain. Now, since it's a younger boy, and he was nonverbal at 4 years old. And by the next day, he started babbling, making noises. And within 1 week was starting to say words. And so he lost he actually did was improving. And then they gave the light back because it was on loan. And then after 10 days, he started losing that effect of the improvement and the speech and that. But then they were able to get another light, and he was able to once again improve. And we did the so it does not have to have the helmet. It's just that the helmet is very convenient because it's 10 of the palm devices basically over the whole head. So yeah, we got more comments here. I'm using the mini canopy on my feet for a friend with diabetes, plantar fasciitis. Oh yes, that's one that definitely has been helpful, and also for diabetic foot stuff, like injury or whatever. But so after his first treatment on his feet, he slept for 11 hours after the first treatment. He's very, very happy. Yeah, it's a very common effect that your body is actually from this last weekend at an event I was at for brain injury. It was all about brain injury. And one of the women was from Ottawa speaking about the importance of sleep. And and everybody knows sleep is important, but it turns out that there's actually certain phases during that sleep where you actually speed up brain repair and other parts of the body if you can get to the better sleep patterns. So there's a lot to do with sleep. So our bodies, just because we're sleeping, it's not stopping from healing. Um, Bodges cannot, it's be Bodgy, I think. Can we just do the front part of the head? It's very possible. I do not know. I think this is a big learning curve, is to find out where every kid is different, although the brain is certain places are for certain functions. So it might be worth it to try just the front cortex and to see if that is it can be used alone, or you may have to treat other types of parts of the brain as well. And so one thing is, yeah, that when you're talking of brain issues, thank you, Susan, for your comment. Start 30 seconds, uh, in each one of the locations with, I would say, the red 30 seconds red, 30 seconds near infrared. You can do that as the starting point, and then just over a week, 2 weeks, start growing that to more time. So you can, so basically you can do the same type of thing with the palm device, but as you can see, 10, if you did the 1 minute, 4 minutes times 10 is 40 minutes. Although, yeah, it's so Karen's mentioning dreaming more, and I can tell you that when I'm at a show, I get a chance. I'm very revved up because there's a lot of work to be done to put a display together, to present, to talk all day long till nighttime, and then finally call asleep. But I get a chance at the show to use the helmet, and I tell you, the some of the dreams are fantastic. Pretty wild sometimes, but I do get into some deeper deeper sleep for sure. And so this is just a note for from a mother's experience with a super palm. So she says for a child, 1 minute over you know over a specific area. Um, But the helmet can help with all kinds of things because obviously there's a tie-in to the gut. The gut, if you can, and by the way, you can use this helmet or you can use the palm. You can use it on the gut as well. So down lower by your belly button, around that area, because you're going to be treating the gut-brain axis. There's things that go on in the gut that are very, very much tied into the brain and vice versa. So there's, these kind of call it the second brain down in your gut. Well, they're all every part of your body's connected, but in this case, there's a lot to treating your gut. Especially there's all sorts of biome stuff that's going on, gut biome that can be helped by using that. And thank you, Sue Ellen. You're a wealth of information. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, PubMed articles support treating gut for the microbiome, and even with Parkinson's, there is a benefit to treating the gut, and it's not just Parkinson's, so many other things as well. So let me just see if I can. Oh, okay. It was just so it said healing loss, and you really meant to say hearing loss. As a matter of fact, I have a 101-year-old woman that did a webinar with me, and she's the one. There's a lot of YouTube videos that we have, so go visit our YouTube video and yeah, and I was just trying to read and talk at the same time. I can't quite do that. So, anyways, there's a lot of YouTube videos. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at SunPowerLED, because you will be able to catch up on the latest different videos that we post. But I do have a 101-year-old woman who had wet macular degeneration, and I think she's Dutch descent, and so there's a Dutch accent there. And so she says, I remember when I interviewed her, she said you can go back to the video and watch it. But at 101, she started using the light on her eyes, and 1 minute of the red with the eyelids closed, by the way, 1 minute of the red and 1 minute of the near infrared on both eyes like that. And she was able to do that. And at 101 years old, she was able to improve her eyesight. So she went from very wavy lines. She said the lines were very, very wavy, and then they're nice and straight now. She says, I can see you nice and straight. So I got corrected. That's German. I heard there was an accent there, but it was great how Susan's mom was able to use that. Not only did it help her eyesight, but it also helped with her hearing as well. She noticed that she could improve her okay, that's another wonderful testimony. But she used it for her hearing and was able to start hearing better. I have a video here. I'm going to try and see if I can quickly find it here. And I know we don't have it on the system, so I'll just see if I can't point to it here. Yeah, here it goes. So I'll do one of these. It's not the best one, but this fellow here, he had this was about 2 weeks ago. He had very strong prescription for nearsightedness, and he broke the the arms off his glasses. And oh yeah, I referred to it in the video here, but this was phenomenal. So that the helmet treats the whole brain, so it was actually treating the back of the control system uh, for your vision. And
John, I'm from Brazil.
Yeah, John.
I'm shocked. I'm very impressed with the treatment here.
Yeah.
Because I use, a glass.
Yeah.
High, I can read it.
You can read that.
Yeah, I don't need glasses anymore. Looks like I don't need glasses. I can read, some power. That power is your destiny, meaning cannot be found. Helmets, nobody can use to, okay, my God. But
Wow.
it's perfect. I can see this. I don't need glasses anymore. Is that it? Okay, I gotta do more.
Yeah. He did have treatment under the helmet here.
Yeah.
Just for a minute of red.
so he had a prescription of 4. He goes on for a little bit more, but boy, that was funny. He was just since he broke the glasses off, they were stuck in his pocket, and he couldn't put them on because obviously they wouldn't stay. So he was walking around during the day, with everything very out of focus, and going under the helmet for 4 minutes. He immediately changed his ability to see. The funny part was as well, it was that there was another woman that she had.
You noticed.
This helmet last night, and I used the handheld today, and I know my eyesight's better. I can read my phone messages.
But you got your glasses on your head
I
though.
know, so I don't even need them anymore, and I normally do.
So that was 2 miracles in a row, it seemed. So for him to be able to see like that, now I'm trying to follow up as well to see how long lasting that is. But even for such a change like that, in such a short, I mean, 4 minutes, and all of a sudden there's a change. Now, I'm still wearing my glasses, so it's It's not going to help everybody, but there's a good possibility it could. And for myself, I know one thing is I wished I was diligent enough to use it every day, and I'd like to see where I'd be at in 2 months' time or 3 months' time. But I tend to get going and I never stop from time I start first thing in the morning to later on in the evening when I finally crash. So it's hard to stop and do some of these things, but I'm trying to work them into my into my routine. Well, routine. I don't know. That's one thing. Um, so yeah, it's pretty wild. Um, okay, I think we're getting close to the end of the questions, and all the best. For as you work through these things with trying to help others with the light as well. As so many of you have loaned your light out to somebody else to help them. So it's really neat that you've done that. So I just want to thank you for joining us tonight. And also remember to hit that subscribe link on the thing on the YouTube channel so you can keep informed. And also, if you can click also the like, when you click the like, it allows our video to go much, much wider and get out there. So please do that as well. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And I think there's going to be a neat doctor that I have next week, Tuesday on. And sorry, one more question you just shot through. Yeah, arthritic knees, you can use it 2 or 3 times a day. No issues with that. To really try and push that for when you have arthritis and pain in the knees. So, anyways, we'll see you next week, Tuesday. Thank you for joining us and all the best, and wish you all of God's richest blessings.